Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. And just a quick and short reminder about my other channel, LG Classics, only stories and updates, to give them a second wind. If you're curious, the link is in the description. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user PaintContent6734. Help! I, 26 female, think my boyfriend, 30 male, is exaggerating or faking his illness. Saw someone's post yesterday about navigating life with a partner who has fibromyalgia and felt inspired to post here. I'm hoping y'all can give me some solid advice. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 30 male, for a little under 2 years. In the time we've been together, his chronic pain, which isn't connected to any particular or known condition as he refuses to go to the doctor, has gotten worse and worse. It's reached a point where he's almost incapable of doing chores or house projects, is usually too exhausted or in pain to make or agree to plans, and getting him to do anything outside of the house together is like pulling teeth. His objections always revolve around his pain and fatigue. I've never suffered from chronic pain, and thank God, so I'm not one to judge or accuse someone of making it up, since the pain itself is invisible and my boyfriend looks perfectly healthy. However, he's now been unemployed for 4 months and I'm starting to question things. I'm starting to feel doubtful for a number of reasons, and the main ones are that A, he never turns down his friends' invitations to hang out, even when the activity is something physically intense like kayaking or going hiking or going to a music festival. And B, he is never too tired or in too much pain to have sex. Over time, it's almost made it seem like he's conveniently in an unbearable amount of pain when he has to do something he isn't at all that interested in, i.e. chores. And I'm starting to feel hurt that he just doesn't seem to want to hang out with me outside of what we do lazing around the house. I've never accused him of faking or exaggerating his pain, but I have tried to talk to him about doing more fun stuff together, and it always circles back to his pain or him accusing me of trying to keep him from spending time with his friends, which I'm not trying to do by any means. I've done a ton of research into autoimmune disorders and other conditions that could be causing his problem, always bringing my findings and suggestions to him, but he just doesn't believe a doctor or any traditional medicine will help him. I'm also bothered because when we go to family outings or parties that we're both invited to, it's rare but it does happen, he will talk anyone who will listen's ear off about how bad his chronic pain is and how frustrating it is not to be able to find a solution. The thing is, he's not actually looking for a solution, he just smokes weed every day and calls that good enough while lamenting and complaining that his body is the way that it is. He also refuses to return to work because of his pain. For additional context, he seems to have really extreme muscle spasms or tightness, particularly in his back. I'm happy to support him through hard times, but the fact that he won't work is getting concerning and I feel severely stuck. I'm not interested in supporting him financially on a long-standing basis, but at the moment, I partially am by covering some of his expenses. If this post makes me a total a-hole for questioning the degree of my boyfriend's chronic pain, so be it. I just need help and answers, so here are my questions. Where do I go from here? Do you think it's possible that my boyfriend is using his pain as a crutch? Should I put some kind of ultimatum in place that will get him medical care or attention? Your advice is appreciated. Well, OP, call me judgy if you want, but I think your boyfriend is taking advantage of you. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that he's in pain only when he has to do chores or house projects or help you out in any way, but he doesn't feel pain when he goes kayaking? I mean, come on. You can't vacuum clean, but you can go kayaking or hiking or hanging out with the boys or whatever and then smoking weed all day, not looking for a job? Yeah, I'm sorry, OP, but it really does sound to me like he's just taking advantage of you and you are too nice to notice. So to your questions, where do you go from here? Single. Do I think it's possible that he's using his pain as a crutch? I'll have to say that I'm doubting that he has pain in the first place. And regarding you doing some sort of ultimatum, no ultimatum necessary, just tell him you're done. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Watermelon Sugar 47 says, even if he does have chronic illness, he isn't doing anything to get a diagnosis or treatment, and he is willing to push on for things that benefit him and only him. He's also developed a drug addiction he has no plans of curbing. I am chronically ill. I am busting my ass trying to find answers and help because living like this sucks. I do everything in my power to support my partner and care for our home. While sometimes that's not a ton, I always prioritize contributing to my household over kayaking, which even if I could push through to do, would put me down for a week. This man is using and taking advantage of you, disabled or not. He also has dumped this on you without you consenting to be his financial caretaker. You're not married. There is no in sickness and health here. Leave him. Going Price for Home says, as someone with chronic pain, even if he wasn't lying, I'd leave him. Chronic pain effing sucks. I've been there. It's been over 13 years of it, but it kinda just sounds like he slowly made you into his bangmaid. Either he's faking it so he doesn't have to work or do any chores, or he has no interest in improving his situation, which isn't sustainable if the person isn't going to pursue medical help or disability benefits. Biancalin says, lol girl, break up with him. He's lying to you. Even if he wasn't, the fact that he doesn't believe in science, medicine, or refuses to see doctors is telling enough. I can't even fathom how you're staying attracted to a man who refuses to look after himself. He doesn't even want to better himself for your future together. Imagine in 5, 10, or 30 years' time. Yikes. If that man truly loved you, he'd do anything possible to get better and get his life on track to provide you with a good life. And McQuire says, so he has such chronic pain that prevents him from doing chores and anything he doesn't like, including getting a job, that he refuses to see a doctor, but somehow it allows him to do things he does like sex and kayaking? Sounds like he's using you. I'm assuming you do all the household stuff and pay for all the bills? Usually, I'm not one for ultimatums, but you're going nowhere. Either he sees a doctor or you leave. And when he refuses, leave him. I'm sorry, OP. Alright, well, the community agrees that this guy is definitely taking advantage of OP. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thank you to everyone who responded to my post and was so compassionate and kind. It was incredible to hear from so many people who actively battle chronic pain or illness, and those with loved ones who do. I hope to continue deepening my empathy towards anyone who is struggling with an invisible illness. On to my update. Armed with some fresh perspectives and some fresh frustrations, lol, I talked to my boyfriend and told him that he needs to see a doctor or I will no longer be able to support him financially and stand by while he remains unemployed and unmotivated to get the help he needs. I also addressed the idea of managing or balancing his energy levels differently so that we're able to share household responsibilities more effectively, spend quality time together, and keep him doing the things he loves with his friends. His response was really bad. He told me that if I'm not willing to step up and clean around the house, something I'm already doing, that there's no use living together and that my efforts to clean are the bare minimum and not good enough for his standards anyway. And he was also really mad that I haven't taken initiative to take care of yard projects and car repairs. Oh, F him. He sat there and spouted off a whole list of things I'm not noticing and cleaning, and, once again, he was focused on the idea that I don't like his friends or am jealous of them and want him spending less time with them, which isn't true at all. This really stung. He basically brushed over everything I said and focused on my perceived faults. This told me everything I needed to know, and I told him I was leaving. He was just mad, not sad or hurt at all. I'm still crying excessively over his whole reaction. I still don't know how real or unreal his chronic pain is, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Thank you again, everyone, for your support and kindness. I truly was at a loss. Well, OP, I understand that you're going through a hard time, but here's a silver lining. Him and his alleged pain are no longer your responsibility. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. Now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I Overreacting, and it's by user SufficientBerry827. Am I overreacting for ending a friendship because his girlfriend read our conversations? My friend, male 28, and I, female 26, have been friends for about 5 years. Right off the bat, we have always been platonic. Nothing has ever happened between us. Nothing ever will happen between us. We met at work and got along well, then ended up really clicking over shared interests. A year into the pandemic, 2021, his hours at work were cut and he ended up living on my couch for about 9 months. Those months of living together kind of cemented our friendship at the time. I was going through intense therapy and he helped support me through mental health lows, and I helped support him when his mental health crashed after he was laid off. He knows I'm working through a lot of stuff. He knows I'm very private about it. It took me years of therapy to even admit to myself the things I endured growing up, and it was terrifying to verbalize them to someone other than my therapist. So these conversations were very difficult for me, and it is very important that I feel I have control over who knows these things about me, and he knows that. Anyway, about 7 months ago, he met Allie, female 25. He has never dated much and he kind of fell head over heels for her. Since we don't live in the same state, I haven't met her. I don't have social media like Instagram or Facebook, so there isn't really a place for me to get to know her. So, I was at work when he sent me a text saying to please not freak out, but that he and his girlfriend had argued, and she said that she was uncomfortable with me and the friendship we had. I told him I couldn't talk at the time because of work and asked him to reach out later in the day. He said he wanted to talk now, but I said I couldn't and left it at that. Later that day, he dumps on me that his girlfriend thinks there's something going on between us and that she doesn't believe we're just friends. Then, she demanded he give her his phone to read through our conversations. She took screenshots and sent them to herself. The thing is, in those texts, I confided very private information to him about my past trauma and my family, and now she has that. He said he was sorry, that he knew he effed up, but wanted to work it out with me. I told him there's nothing more to talk about, that it was a gross invasion of my privacy, that he knew about the abuse I went through and he let her read all of it. I told him, F the both of you, you're a spineless piece of crap. Then he kept apologizing, but I stopped replying. My friend and I don't speak regularly, so I felt really blindsided by this. I don't understand where her suspicion is coming from, and I don't understand why it escalated so quickly or why it blew right past having a reasonable conversation to ease any suspicions or anxiety she may have about our friendship. I may have had a knee-jerk reaction, but all I could think about is the fact that someone I don't know read and took screenshots of something that personal. I've had a couple of days to sit with my feelings, hoping I would feel differently, but I can't help but feel violated. The fact that she read those conversations without my consent is upsetting, but the fact that she has screenshots of them or even thought to screenshot something so personal has made me extremely anxious. I know I'm a little intense when it comes to privacy, so I'm wondering, did I overreact? Not at all, OP, and I don't think you're being intense about privacy. It's privacy. It's private. You get to choose who you share with. I couldn't give less of a crap if she's feeling insecure about her relationship because her boyfriend has a friend. That doesn't give her the right to read your private conversations. If she's got a problem with him, then she should solve it with him. And he, like you said, is a spineless piece of crap. Instead of seeing her demand as the red flag that it is in a relationship, he bent over and gave you up. That's not a friend, at least not in my opinion. So I think you've done the right thing, OP. No, it is not wrong to end a relationship when your friend breaks your trust by violating your privacy in this way. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments. Full Cause 273 says, not overreacting, I would be livid. It is his girlfriend and you are supposed to be his friend. Common denominator, him. He should have found a way to respect your privacy and also help his girlfriend feel more comfortable. The fact that he let her read the messages and take screenshots means he was okay with losing your trust. Kaxa says, not overreacting. Oh my god, letting the girlfriend read the messages but also allowing her to take screenshots to save them for later? For what insane reason does she need to do that for? Like, I get the whole reading through messages, would never do that personally to my partner, and accidentally coming across sensitive messages, but for her to then also take pictures and also send them to herself? Like, that takes time. Why did he not stop her? And Opie responds, what other reason could there be to screenshot conversations where I talk about abuse and I endured? It's not graphic detail, but it's deeply personal things that I still associate with guilt and shame and disgust. I feel like if I did push past all of this, I'd always be on edge waiting for her to make some kind of remark and throw it in my face in some way. Screenshotting it and keeping those pieces of the conversation just doesn't make sense to me in any other context. Kindstorm8689 says, I can understand a new girlfriend being worried about a boyfriend's close friendship with another girl, especially if you take trips together and or she's been burned before. But she's going about it in the worst way. If she can't handle it, maybe it's not the relationship for her. She's now dragged you and your personal business into her drama and paranoia, screenshotting it too so she can send it to God knows who. And Opie responds, I get it too. I've had male friends in the past and I fully support being transparent about my friendship with them when they're in relationships. I can handle the tough conversations and going the extra step to ease their concerns, even taking a step back and giving them more space. It's the fact that she read through everything and took screenshots. I have so much anxiety around all of that. There are things there that are still difficult for me to process, and knowing she read them and took screenshots makes me feel so exposed and anxious. I just spiraled into the worst case scenario. I'm imagining that she sent them to her friends or our mutual friends or is laughing about them or using them to make herself feel better in some way. I'm trying to keep my emotions level, but I feel like I'm oscillating between shutting down and just full-on emotional frenzy because I just want those screenshots gone. And that spicy meatball says, as someone who was on the other side before, I was cheated on by my ex and his longtime best friend. You are so valid. What are the screenshots even for? She sounds like a liability to keep around even at a distance. Well, the community agrees that OP is not overreacting. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thank you. The vast majority of you were very understanding and supportive, which I appreciate more than I can say. And several of you were incredibly insightful, which was helpful and validating. Many challenged my perspective and gave me a different point of view that in my anxious state I was incapable of seeing, and I'm grateful for your patience and effort to challenge my position in a respectful manner. Several people suggested that I bring this up to my therapist. I was reluctant at first, but ultimately did exactly that, and you all were right. I am glad I listened and brought this up to my therapist. As much as I would like to believe I can think my way through a lot of things or that I've done so much work that I should be fine, the fact that I posted that at all really should have been a sign that I needed help processing everything. So I did, and I'm really glad I did because I did need help. Thank you to the people that made those suggestions with compassion and without judgment. I know that sounds so over the top and dramatic to a lot of people. Some of you were very clear about that, lol. The fact that someone I don't know read very private conversations and took screenshots brought up a lot of feelings of not having control, being taken advantage of, and anxiety. Without getting too into the details, part of what I experienced when I was younger included material of me that was taken without consent and shared. And that left me with a lot of anxiety and fear around what people have seen, if they know, if they're thinking about it, if they're keeping it, if they look at it, etc. So when I read she took screenshots of those private conversations, I was immediately flooded with that out of control feeling again, wondering if she shared it with our mutual friends, if they know, if they read it, if they're going to ask me about it, etc. And I kind of spiraled from there. Hope that kind of explains my reaction a bit more. Some of you picked up on that and said things that really helped me deal with the anxiety I was going through, and I can't thank you enough. Finally, for the update, I've taken a couple of weeks to talk things out with my therapist and sit with everything. My ex-friend has texted me a couple of times after that last message and I haven't responded. I have no intention of talking to him again. I don't think it would be in my best interest to talk things out with him or to talk with his girlfriend. I don't think that I will trust him again, so I don't see the point in trying to work through any of this to keep him in my life. I have reached out to our mutual friends and without really telling them what happened, have asked them to exclude me from future group events, travel plans, and group chats. They were very understanding and I hope I am able to keep in touch with them. I know a lot of you mentioned that it seemed he was in an abusive relationship and that he may need a friend to help yank him out of it. I thought about that too. You all made very compelling arguments and I think it's a valid point. I don't want to abandon him if he needs me, but I also don't want to excuse myself from a very unhealthy dynamic that now includes his girlfriend violating my boundaries. Our mutuals know that if he needs help, I will help in whatever way I can, but I don't think that should include forcing myself to be a part of his life. I appreciate the support and advice I have received. I realize it seems like I am too quick to cut off a 5-year friendship, but I do appreciate everyone that shared their stories about forgiveness and friendship. Well, Opie, I think you've made the right decision. He broke your trust, and I understand he could be going through his own issues or be in a crappy relationship, but in my opinion, that doesn't excuse what he did to you. So here's wishing you the best in the future, Opie. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.